Welcome back, everyone. But if it's your first time, thank you for tuning in. I hope you join us on our grand adventure. You see, here on this channel, we're on a journey from 2010 to 2025, playing every game that has come out from AAA to indie, sleeper hits, forgotten treasures, and games that just went under the radar. But there are 3 rules. Number 1, the game must be available for purchase. For now, we're just focusing on PC. Number 2, we must beat the game in all DLC. Just getting to the credits on the base game and DLC is enough. And number 3, for every 1,000 subs this channel gets, you beautiful ladies and gentlemen pick a game that I've uploaded to this channel for me to 100%. Now that everyone's on the same page, we have a lot of games to play. Let's get into it. The year is 2010, January 5th. 4 games released that day. And today we're playing Bayonetta. This is my first time playing Bayonetta, although I've heard so much about it. There was so much hype about it when it first dropped. Still to today, people cosplay as Bayonetta. People regard Bayonetta as one of the best games next to Devil May Cry for the clean, fun combat, heavy combos, switching weapons, dashing, air combat, and we're gonna go through my thoughts and experience with Bayonetta. First, you can't find it on Xbox Game Pass. I did buy it on Steam for $20, so if you do want to get it, that's where you're going. Next, let's get into the story. So Bayonetta starts off with a cutscene, giving a little bit of backstory, pretty vague, which through the campaign, they do clarify more, but the information they give you off rip is there's the Umbral Witches and the Lumen Sages, and they were 2 sides of a whole that protected the universe, or something like that. And then one day, someone broke the taboo of knowing each other biblically, one of the witches and one of the sages, and had a kid. And now this child was a child of light and dark, who is Bayonetta. But because of this taboo, it started a war. The war ended with the Umbral Witches winning, but after they won, humanity frowned upon them and started to hunt witches. And this was about 500 years ago. And then 20 years ago, Bayonetta wakes up from some kind of slumber, and now she's looking for answers, trying to figure out her past. Apparently, Bayonetta doesn't remember much, but she knows she has like this eye, this stone that she woke up with, and now she's looking for the other half. They don't really explain too much about it, but it's almost like she's drawn to this stone, so she's going on a search for it. She's in business with a man named Enzo, who is her information broker, and he goes around dealing with some shady business, and he sells his information to Bayonetta. One day, he tells Bayonetta, I got a big catch. We found out where that stone was. Someone was trying to sell it on the black market, and it's happening here in Europe. If you want any leads, the guy who's selling it was located over here. You should start there. And the way Enzo explains it, it's more like a hunter putting out bait, because it popped up for a second on the black market that he was trying to sell it, and then I guess he retracted the offer, but by the time he retracted it, certain people pinpointed his location, and that's how Enzo got this information. So Bayonetta heads off into Europe, starting in a place called Vergrid. I hope I'm saying that right. Vergrid. And as soon as you enter, you start hearing voices in your head, someone talking to you, and it kind of throws her off. And on top of that, some of these buildings and environments look familiar to you, and you start having flashbacks of your past. And as you go through the campaign, you start to have more and more flashbacks hinting at what happened previously. But there's also this one particular person who keeps showing up and keeps egging you on to look into your past and remember, and her name is Jean. And she shows up pretty often, leading to a fight, and also some verbal exchanges of information and hinting that she knows Bayonetta's past as well. We also meet Luca along the way. Luca is, in retrospect, Luca is collateral damage. Luca's father was an investigator, and his father died in the process of investigating the Lumen cult, or the Lumen Sages, and Bayonetta, and he was there the day he died. To him, the situation looked like Bayonetta killed his father, but we don't find out till later that wasn't the case. Luca is now chasing Bayonetta, looking for answers and wanting justice for his father. As you get closer and closer to the city of the Lumen Sages, the holy city, you meet this little girl who looks a lot like Bayonetta, but Bayonetta doesn't remember her actual name. So when the little girl says her name is Cereza, Bayonetta doesn't think much of it. So along the way, you take some detours to help her, either save her and then taking her to her father. Come to find out that her father is in the Holy Land, the same place we're going, also known as Isla del Sol. Upon Upon arriving in Isla del Sol with the little girl and Luca, you have your final fight with Jean, and we get a good understanding of what their relationship was before the 20 years she woke up. It seems like Jean was the one who put you to sleep 500 years ago, so no one can get to you, and she can protect the eye of the Umbral witches. After your fight with Jean, you're more motivated to get to the tower of Isla del Sol and talk to this man who has the second eye. Once you're there, you meet the father, who explains that, I wouldn't say explain, he hints more than anything that he is her father, which it gets played off really weird because you would think that it would be a little more important to the story that is your father that you're fighting and you end up killing eventually. But he fills in the gaps in the story from the Lumen Sage, where after the Umbral witches won and the Lumen Sages were thought to be destroyed, some of them went into hiding and they started the uprising in witch hunting. So it was the Lumen Sages that caused humanity to hate the witches in the first place, leading to the witch hunt. And the father's goal was to restart the world and resurrect Jubilee, leading to your final showdown. Let me know if I got that all right. On a first playthrough, first time, I don't think I caught everything and all the nuances that were in the storytelling. I probably would need a second, maybe even a third playthrough to fully understand everything that was going on. There were certain discussions about other characters like Eggman. I don't even know who Eggman is, and how heaven and hell works. Then there's Paradiso and Limbo, and then apparently Bayonetta has to kill angels every day or else she gets taken back to hell, which she never died. So why? There's just certain things that I didn't understand. So definitely let me know, fill out the gaps in the story for me. But so far, this is what I understand. Now we can get into the characters. Bayonetta is definitely all about style. After playing this game, the feeling I was left with was wow. Everything was over the top. The characters were funny and ridiculous. The fight choreography for the animated parts were also ridiculous. Everything was just dialed up to 11. People like Enzo, the information broker, and his New York accent was hilarious, and he's such a pussy. I fucking love it. Then you have Rodon, the unholy arms dealer who runs a bar called Doorway to Hell or Gates of Hell, and he's just this cool, suave smoker. He's just like that chill guy. All the way to Bayonetta. I would say Jean, you don't get to see a lot of Jean's personality because Jean was more in a serious manner of helping Bayonetta, but Bayonetta on the other hand was so carefree and relaxed and was just about the business. She would put hands on anybody, but also super flirty, and I see why the characters in Bayonetta definitely left an impression. And then the style of the game, the environment as well. There's some beautiful set pieces. Some of the maps were very small, but there are also so many different aspects to the gameplay that it was like fine to have a short area leading to something weird like your trip on a missile into Isla de la Sol or the crazy boss fights you were having. Like all of these dynamics changed up the pace of the game and made it really refreshing. Even in between chapters, there was a mini game of shooting angels to get points for this arcade system where you can use the lollipops to like boost your attack power or your health. Then there was a boss fight where you're surfing and fighting the boss. Like there were so many memorable things in this campaign that kept you interested and like locked in throughout the whole story. Next are the collectibles. I wasn't hunting for collectibles in general. I did find some along the way. The most common ones are like the vinyls that you find, and if you take them to Rodon, then he can exchange them for a weapon that you can use later. That's how you get like the sword, the whip, the second pair of shotguns, and then the puzzles. The puzzles were pretty simple. There was one really aggravating one at the beginning of the game when you're just getting the hang of it. They kind of hide one behind you and you walk past it, and maybe I'm simple-minded, but I never thought to look behind me and go all the way back to the beginning where you walk in through the entrance, and that's where the puzzle starts. So I'm over here whacking at the door. I was probably there for like maybe 15 minutes, maybe even 20 to be honest, just whacking away at the shit. It got me frustrated, and I just started the game. But the puzzles in general, they're pretty good. They were simple. They're nothing too hard. Even switching over to when the moon was out, you can walk on walls. There was some interesting gameplay there, either fighting monsters on the walls or dodging boulders as they're falling to come out of this cave. And the music, oh my god, the music, it was such a banger. Even with the Frank Sinatra Fly fly me to the moon. Oh my God, that's such a banger, bro. And speaking of bangers, next is the combat. The combat was fun and fluid, but I do have some complaints. So we're gonna start there and then we'll go into everything else. So my biggest thing is I played on PC and I use keyboard and mouse. I didn't use a controller. I don't know if everyone had this experience, but there's like a shooting mode you can go into by spinning your mouse or the analog stick around. And then that puts you in this gun mode where you can shoot things around you and you just look around and start shooting at it. While in combat, I didn't learn that I could change my weapons till later. But while in combat, as you're turning around looking at enemies from the left to the right, it would put you into this shooting mode and you'll end up getting stuck in there, either stopping your combo or putting you in a position where you're very vulnerable or you could get hit. And that was very frustrating. I solved this later by just switching to a melee weapon so I could easily dash back and forth. But with the melee weapon, it does a special attack when you swirl. So I end up doing that swirl pretty often and not intentionally, which kind of pulled me out of the game. I wasn't as immersed as I wanted to be. Another thing as well was when you're fighting multiple groups of enemies, once you start your combo on an enemy, they make it kind of aggravating to finish your combo. There's plenty of times I never get to continue my combo because I either dash out so I don't get hit, or I do get hit and that knocks me away from the enemy and sending me out of the combo. This goes for on the ground or aerial combat, and that got frustrating as well. Just not be able to finish your combos and switching weapons and everything, it kind of disrupts the flow of combat. But besides that, having all those weapons available to you, switching what weapons are on your feet and your hands, also having access to the pistols, the shotgun, the sword, the whip. You also get these claws, which are sick. They have two versions, the electric and the fire. And by swirling, you can switch if you're using the fire or the lightning. The lightning was super fast with crazy combos, and the fire was slow hitting, but you could burn your targets. Just really fun weapons available to you. But my overall impressions of Bayonetta was a simple story. It didn't grab me as much, but the combat and the adventure, it really felt like you were on an adventure. How much they switched up the flow and the pace of the game by not just only having combat, but these mini games and different sections that just took you out of it completely. Certain chase sequences where you were just running down trying to platform as quick as you can from either lava or a bus or just weird stuff like that just made it fresh and exciting throughout the 14 hours. I think, yeah, it took me like 14 hours to play, which is really good. The most frustrating situation was the final fight with Jean. She kicked my ass. She fucked me up. I'm gonna be completely honest. I really wanted to put down the game for a second, but there's still plenty of games I still gotta play. I was like, I gotta get this done. But she put her paws on me, rightfully so. I died so many times. I spent at least 2 hours just on that fight. I'm not proud to say it, but I just want to be honest. I just want to be honest. She handled hers. Everything about the game was great though. I had an amazing experience. And those are just my final thoughts on the game. And if you missed the last video, we were trying to decide if you guys want me to play Divinity 2 Ego Draconis, the director's cut now because it's on the list, or I'll do it in 2012 when it actually came out. So do you guys want me to follow the list exactly or just play things as they come out? You could put it on this video or put it on the last video. Either one, I'm gonna look through and see if you guys want me to do it now or just wait till 2012 when it's gonna pop up on the list anyways. But all right guys, have a good day, be safe.